I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing that we live in Virginia because you are afforded to be around such great artists. You mentioned Levi from Blackstreet.
Yeah.
So, you know, having that contact with Blackstreet, how was that relationship with Levi and Blackstreet in that time when they really experienced a lot of success? Welcome to 80
or 80,000.
Thank you for joining us. Are you living for 80 years or do you want your legacy to live well beyond 80,000 years? Let's get started and find out. Our first guest is local star, national star, R&B artist. He's traveled all across the globe. He's performed every place you can think of. He's got a #1 hit in Hampton Roads, 37 on iHeart. My man, Romonta. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us here at 80,000.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming, man. Stefano, kick us off.
Well, Romonta, I've known you for 2 decades or more, you know what I'm saying, for being around the music business, being around Teddy, rest in peace, Teddy.
Rest in peace, Teddy.
How's life been, brother? How's life been?
Yeah, life's been good. You know, a lot of times, you know, you when you see so much that's going on,
right?
You know, when you do a comparison of what other people are going through and you know what you've been through yourself, right? You look at then and now. Oh, I can't say nothing but blessed.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I look at, you know, even the bad times seemingly is really good.
Come on, man.
Right, because that's teaching you. You know what I'm saying? Like some people don't really look at it that way.
No.
And they should, because that's just how life is. But when you're going through something, what you learn from that and apply that to your current and your future, that makes you better. So when people ask me, you know, how things have been great, man. It's been a blessing. Everything, I got a phrase, everything negative is really positive. Undiscovered. We just got to figure it out.
Say that again.
Everything negative is really positive. Undiscovered. We just got to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, if you don't make mistakes in life, you can't learn.
Exactly. So and then when things happen, you know, everything happens for a reason, and it ain't the end of the world. So when you fall, the difference between a wise man and a fool is figuring out, okay, why did I fall?
Right.
But you know, the obstacle is getting back up.
That's right.
And when you get back up, you learn from that mistake, so you ain't got to fall the next time on that one, because there's going to be other obstacles that you're going to deal with. But each obstacle, one at a time, you live, you learn, and you love.
That's beautiful, man. And, and Romonta, you know, that's what we're really about. That's what this podcast is about, is growth, understanding the pain and struggles that we've been through, and how do we use that and take that energy to live for the next 80,000 and leave that impact. Which really goes to my next question. You know, I know in high school you started a gospel group. And to take us back to that moment, what was that like?
Oh man, you dug deep right there. It was all right. So we all born and raised in church. You know what I mean? We like 3 services. You know, we had Sunday school, regular service, and then right after that, I'm preparing like, Mama, what's next? She's like, no, just go back in the back pew and lay down, because we got revival. We got fellowship.
There you go.
So being born and raised in the church, you know, I always wanted to sing. So while I was in school, I teamed up with some guys. You know, this is when, I don't want to tell the time frame, but this is when Boys to Men, you know, the harmony, and everybody was, you know. So I got with some guys in school. Shout out to Phoebus.
Phoebus.
And we formed a group. You know, one was called Unique. And then from that, we kind of branched off into another group called The Elegance. And even before that, we called ourselves Second Lunch.
Second lunch. Why second lunch?
Right. Weird, but that was the only time we had to practice. Was during second lunch.
Gotcha.
You know, it won't really, you know, people had things to do, so it won't really like after school, like, hey mama, can you bring, we're gonna work, we ain't really know what we was doing. So it wasn't that serious. But the fun of it was like, hey, we're gonna meet up in the bathroom, come second lunch, that's when we was able to get together.
Yeah.
And we jump in the bathroom, start hitting harmonies and start singing, hey, no, you get the first verse. You know what I mean? You get the second verse. And it sounded good. And people started crowding around the bathroom.
Come on,
you know what I mean? So
we
we was like, oh, I like this second lunch. and
so like, lean on me. So like,
I mean, because during that time,
right?
Lean on me, the old boys and men, cool. So that kind of inspired a lot of kids like ourselves, you know, young boys, to kind of mimic that.
Yeah.
You know, with the high flat tops and all of that. You know.
That's dope.
So,
So, being a part of a gospel group prepares you for becoming a what the church would call a secular group. Or an R&B group. We'll put it that way. So, how was that transition? Expand on that.
All right. Now, for me, it was easy.
Okay.
For some, that conviction is serious.
Right.
Yeah. Even now, there's a lot of, like, matter of fact, some of the guys, they pastors. You know, they ministers. They working at gospel radio stations. So for me, it was easy because for me, I'm the type of person, like, I just, if it's in my heart, I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
As long as I ain't offending nobody. You know, love is love. So I mean, I was doing the time, you know, getting into the ladies. I didn't want to look at her and be like, Jesus on me. That, you know, I mean, that ain't sexy. That ain't romantic.
Right.
So I was like, all right, you know, New Edition, Boys and Men, Bobby Brown, all of that. And then that's where my heart was.
Right.
I was a romantic soul. Still am, ladies.
Okay.
I'm a romantic soul.
Single?
No, I'm not single.
Okay.
I'm not married, but I'm not single.
Okay.
So I gotta make sure I
make sure you make it right.
I did an interview before, and after the interview, I had to answer some more questions. You feel what I'm saying? So let me go on. No, I'm not single.
Okay.
So I love you, baby.
There you go.
What camera I gotta look at? I love you, baby.
Anyone.
Yeah. So I'm a romantic guy. So that transition of wanting to sing about relationships, sing about things that I had went through. That's the conviction in my music. And then also, because on every album, just about, I also have I call it an inspirational song that's inspiring. So I add, and even when you hear the music, you can definitely hear that touch of church. It's definitely in there.
Speaking of inspiration, coming from Virginia, all the talent coming out of Virginia. Anybody in particular that inspired you? Whether in Virginia, whether nationwide, anybody inspire you coming up in the industry to say, hey, this is what I want to sound like, or this is what I want to be better than?
Locally or
anywhere?
Oh yeah, definitely. R. Kelly.
Okay.
Despite despite what he's going through, that man, that's talent to be reckoned with.
R. Kelly name out.
The talent to be reckoned with. And I'm one of those type of people, even in politics sometimes. We are all human. People go through things. A lot of us are walking around and we got demons in our closet. You know what I mean? That we fighting on a daily basis.
Talk about it.
But at the end of the day, that's where we have to, as much as possible, understand that, embrace it to help.
Right.
To try to help those situations, because people they need the help. But one thing you can't deny about R. Kelly, even to this day, the gift that God has blessed him with music, man, is amazing. I don't. So that inspired me. The way he was able to sing and write, and still, as time progressed, there was only two that could start from here, and still with the younger generation still rock them. At the time was LL Cool J and R. Kelly.
Wow.
LL Cool J jumped into acting. But his albums, he was like, oh, that man's still relevant.
Right.
Now, R. Kelly locked up and his music is still relevant. Now you got other artists trying to, I won't say trying, but they're following his footsteps. So Aaron Hall, so many of them.
Oh, you took it way back with Aaron Hall.
Aaron Hall, God. Marvin Winans, you know, I love the Winans. Oh man, I love me some Marvin Winans, you know. Trey Songz, R. Kelly, Ralph Tresvant, one of my favorite. There's so many.
So touching on that, with all those people that influence you, with the R. Kellys, the Aaron Halls, and things like that, and by the way, you got the #1 song on the
hands down.
Hands down. I got out of an event last night about 2 a.m. And I was excited thinking about talking to you today. And I mean, as soon as I got in the car, turned on the radio, your voice, your song. You know what I'm saying? So all those people, what I've noticed is you still have created your own unique sound. Like whenever I hear your song, I know it's Romonta. So touch on how you developed your sound.
And that's a very good question. What I did was in my growing and stepping into my musical purpose. I took the sounds of these artists, your Sam Cooks, R. Kelly. I took the showmanship of these artists. So I picked. I said I like the way Sam Cooke used his voice. I was born by the, you know what I mean? That's soul. And then I love the way R. Kelly, I don't see, you know what I mean? I love the way he worked the stage. Now that really captivated me. Your Ralph Tresvant, he get the little stick, he do the little turnaround. Pop, you know what I mean? So I took different pieces of the different artists and applied that to me.
Made it your own.
Made it my own.
Wow.
And came up with my own voice. You know what I mean? So now when you hear my music, you're gonna hear a little bit of that soft Ralph Tresvant, a little bit of that church from Sam Cooke, that and that showmanship from R. Kelly. You're gonna hear a little bit of that, and then it creates Romonta, the sound of Romonta.
So that's interesting because knowing you for over 2 decades, and all the people that you surround yourself with.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Proud of you. Who out of everybody you've experienced with that supported your career, who gave you the best advice?
To be fair, I don't know. So let me say, because I've gotten so much professional industry advice. I can't pin it down to one person. Because I've been involved with so many, and then also I am the type of person that I embrace what I call wise counsel.
Gotcha.
Now I was using that term for a long time before I even specifically, I won't even say knew what it was, but it's like I was searching for something, and I considered it wise counsel. Now I hear that term more often, but it's like when I'm in the midst of something, I'll ask people around me, or listen to people around me, and get that knowledge and wisdom. So with the industry, if I'm around someone that's like say Chauncey, I went overseas with Levi. So I'm a pupil. I'm the opportunity. We've been over there about 4 or 5 times overseas. So I'm a pupil with the opportunity. So when things are going on, I'm watching business, I'm watching how he's doing it, and I'm listening to what he's telling me, and I'm applying it. So to me, that's wise counsel. Hey, as much as I think I know, you on a different platform, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna and I'm gonna listen. If anything, if I'm somebody else is I already know the game, I'm gonna and just listen. So it's been so many people, especially throughout my career in studios, performing with so many great artists.
Absolutely.
And I like to ask the questions and just listen, and that's how I learn.
Soaking that information in.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing that we live in Virginia, because you are afforded to be around such great artists. You mentioned Levi from Blackstreet. So, having that contact with Blackstreet, how was that relationship with Levi and Blackstreet in that time when they really experienced a lot of success?
It was. I was the kid in the candy store. Meaning when for the 757 when Blackstreet popped. I mean, you know, they walking in the mall, everybody chasing them down. Shout out, you know what I mean? Shout out to Coliseum Mall.
Oh yeah.
Coliseum Mall.
And when they would do their concerts, it was like crazy pandemonium. So being able to be in a situation where I'm talking to him, I'm listening to him. Same thing with Chauncey. I remember, Chauncey still has a studio in Hampton.
I was gonna say, his studio still in Hampton?
Yeah, he still got it in Hampton.
Shout out to Chauncey.
Shout out to Chauncey. And that's my guy. And I remember, and Chauncey, hopefully you remember this, but remember, I came to a studio, pulled up just like, you know, aspiring artist. And I was like, hey, look, you know, I ain't asking for nothing. But you see that little spider web in the corner? Hey, look, if I could just come through here and just clean up and just be in the mist, I'm with it. You know what I mean? And that's for the industry. That's the groundwork that a lot of people that has been lost.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of artists nowadays, they feel like they already there.
Right.
You know, they want the steak, they want the everything that's on the big plate without putting the work in.
Right.
Now, I don't care how great you are, you still have to earn that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because just because you're a great vocalist, great whatever talent, if you jump there too soon.
Right.
You without understanding, appreciating it.
Right.
So I was one of those ones like, with the Blackstreet just being in the midst, because I remember when I was on the other side of the gate, watching them come by, like, man, you know what I mean? Like watching the Joe Smiths, watching all of them just on the other side of the gate, or in the stands watching the stage, like, man. And now to be in a situation where I got them on my phone,
right?
I'm communicating with them,
right?
I'm traveling on speed dial. You feel me? Like, yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, God. It's good. Yeah,
wow. So that's a segue into our next question. So at some point in time in your career, you decided to move to New York.
Yeah.
And when you got there, and so when you got to New York, you actually performed on Apollo.
Yeah.
I heard you performed on Apollo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Apollo.
All right. So and then you had a lot of experiences in New York, the Big Apple, the big stage. Okay. Yeah. So give us a little some of how that experience was.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And again, I look at every experience, whether there's a fail, I look at it again, as we said, everything negative is really positive.
Right.
So to be able to go to New York, go through the process, get the opportunity to be on that stage, which, mind you, same thing with 106 and Park.
You was on 106 and Park?
I was on 106 and Park too.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Coming home from school and watching, you know, Amateur Night at the Apollo was like a dream. Yeah. It was a dream for aspiring artists like myself to say, man, I'm watching it on TV. I want to be on that. Yeah. You know, and then you finally get to the point where I'm actually looking and touching that log. Right. Rubbing it. So it was a great experience. Now, I will say, I made it to the second round.
Okay.
The third round, where I made it where they actually have the celebrity that comes through. And the celebrity artist that was a part of that night was, shouts out to Rampage.
Oh, okay.
So I had a little dressing room and Rampage was on the stairs, the dressing room right above me. Okay. And so I was excited. I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? He came in with his entourage. So when I performed, I got booed.
You got booed?
Really? Yeah. I got booed. Okay. But I made it all the way to the end of the song. Now what I figured out where I went wrong, I sung I Believe I Can Fly. Okay. And at the end of it, you know, especially with the Apollo crowd, right? At the end of the song, I believe you got to get into it.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I had missed a couple choir rehearsals, so I couldn't get into it. I was like, I believe I can fly. And the crowd was like,
Hold on.
We was looking for.
So you quite get the mark.
I believe I, you know what I mean? They was waiting for that.
Wait for it.
But I was still that amateur, you know. I was still. So yeah. So the Sandman came out, did the little Tootsie Roll dance with me, set me off. And I think I went back to my dressing room, got my stuff, walked out the back door, and went through the front. My family. But it was beautiful. Just the experience to be able to get to that point was amazing. And that's something that you write into your memory book.
That's right.
Mission accomplished.
Right.
You know, because again, you learn from that.
That's right.
Now you put. I get on that Apollo stage.
Right there in that moment, right there, you could have quit.
I could have.
Yep.
You could have said, you know what? I'm not singing no more.
Yeah.
What made you dust off here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And say tomorrow I'm going back at it again.
I gotta salute family.
Yeah.
I gotta salute family. You know what I'm saying? Like my mother and father are still together. Now there was a transition in school where when the parents, like the kids' parents, weren't together. It's like, oh, your parents ain't together. That was like major.
Right.
Oh, they not together. Your parents. So then now, somewhere as time progressed, now the amazing thing is your parents still together. Like your parents still together. It's just a flip somewhere in time that happened. And so I gotta, being raised, with both of my parents, old school, teaching me morals and ethics and not to give up.
Right.
They taught me, and shout out to my grandparents as well. They taught me never give up.
Right.
So that kept me going. And if you want something, if you want it, you gotta go get it. Ain't nobody gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
So just that spiritual mindset of everything happens for a reason, and brush it off, keep it moving. Salute to the family.
Salute to the family.
Yeah.
So we're gonna segue into our next question, which would be, in the 80s and the 90s, it was all R&B.
Yeah.
It was all R&B. You had your Michael Jacksons, you had your R. Kellys, you had your SWVs.
Yeah.
You had your groups. You had your Temptations. You had all that, and then all of a sudden, here comes hip hop. Here comes hip hop.
Yeah.
How did that affect your life, your career, and touch on the segue from the transition to when R&B was so big,
right? And
then transition to the hip hop. Yeah. But you're still R&B.
Yeah. I grew up on that era. Now watch this. I'm gonna set you up that. I grew up on the era of shell-toe Adidas, suede Pumas with the fat shoelaces, tuck the sock, put it in the tongue.
That's right.
Talk about it.
The Kangos, Troop. Suits and shoes.
That's right.
Yeah, talk about it.
So I grew up on that hip hop era where, with when I remember I was in my sister's room when I first heard I think it was Roxanne, UTFO, the first, and I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't, it was the new, as soon as I heard rap, I was like, what's this?
Right.
I was like, oh, this is dope.
Right.
And then that was like, that kind of, brought in that era for me.
Yeah.
So hip hop is a culture.
Yeah.
It's a vibe, it's a feeling.
That's right.
So I've applied that also with my music.
You have.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those that listen to my music, because I was a rapper first.
Yeah.
I didn't know I wasn't into the singing thing, but even before, I think in elementary school, middle school, shout out to my brother, not my birth brother, but Mr. Melvin Alexander. So we was like brothers in school.
Okay.
And we was like rap team. Shout out to Reggie, Reginald Harris. So we had like a rap group, and we would go to different bus stops and we would battle in school.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was a part of that era.
Okay.
So from that, again, with the gospel, I couldn't be going up to the ladies talking about my name was Romonta. And I like you. Hey, baby, what you want to do? You know what I mean? That was cool. So I transitioned into the music.
Yes.
And I wasn't necessarily a balladeer.
Right.
You know, I wasn't the Luther.
Right.
I was more of the hip hop R&B.
Gotcha.
You know, now people during that time, it wasn't a thing.
Right.
But I remember when I first did Chris Brown's concert.
Okay.
In the beginning when he first came out.
Mm-hmm.
What you opened up for?
I opened up for Chris Brown, yeah.
Wait.
Yep.
The Chris Brown?
The Chris Brown. Yep. Nice. When he first started coming out, one of the times that he came to and sold out, did 2 shows. Mm-hmm. But this was at Willett Hall.
Okay.
So I think it was Z104. I hosted, and then they had time in between.
Okay.
And they needed some fill in. I said, hey, look, I'm prepared. Like, So it's like, all right. So I did like 2 songs.
Okay.
Had a little banner, bought it just in case, and it's on YouTube too. So I came out, had the smoke, had my little banner, and I did 2 songs, but I had a hoodie on. So my style wasn't the tux and
right.
My style was hip hop.
Okay.
And still to this day,
right.
When I'm performing, for the most part, I'm dressed like hip hop.
Right.
And people didn't understand it during that time because I was coming out, people thinking I'm a rap. But I started singing. And it caught people off guard.
Yeah.
And I like that. Matter of fact, recently I did a show and I came out with the hoodie, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for Romonta. You know, shout out to Blainsville. It was a Blainsville Awards.
Shout out, yeah.
Sure. About a month ago. And I came out and they didn't know what to expect.
They didn't know what was
off guard. And somebody presented it. It's like, man, I thought you was a rapper. I was like, yeah. So I came out singing. So I love it. I love the because like I said, it's a lifestyle. Hip hop, R&B is an expression of my life.
So being that said, there was a shift from R&B to hip hop.
Right.
Could you see another shift back to regular R&B? And could we see like a collaboration, like with you and Kendrick Lamar? Would you be interested in that?
Oh yeah. I think because music is art, and I am a fan of Kendrick Lamar. So with that opportunity, I'm on it. We're gonna work that. We're gonna make some magic. I ain't turning that down. And I just love working with all kinds of artists. Any kind of artist, I love it because for one, it expands my passion for music, my creativity. I love writing and composing and working with different artists. So I think the way life is now, hip hop is a way of life. Okay. That ain't going nowhere. If anything, so now even rappers are somewhat singing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
What?
Rapper, your Drakes and
That's right.
There's a lot of even your gangster rappers is throwing a little bit
melody
in there, So hip hop is a way of life. That's how music is, especially with the younger generation. They can receive it more. Okay. So I think to be relevant, if you throw a couple ballads in there, that'll be great. But you definitely have to communicate with the younger generation.
Well, let's switch gears. So you got a #1 song.
Yes.
In Hampton Roads. And it's doing really, really well. Yes. Founded in You.
Yeah.
#1 song. We enjoyed it. Talk to us about what was the inspiration? What went into making that song that is now a hit?
Yeah. I first got to say, it's a blessing, to be an artist, to get to a point where you have songs that people really enjoy. That's amazing. So, all right, what inspired that song? My cousin had a cousin. He was getting married.
Okay.
In Oklahoma.
Okay.
And he was like, "Yo, we get married. We about to do that thing.
Okay.
But I wanna, can you come out be the best man? And I need you to do something else." I said, "What's up?" He said, I need you. I want you to put together a song. Write a song for me because I know that's your thing. But I said, yeah, no problem. You family, ain't no thing. Yeah. He said, okay, all right. So give me a little bit. We try to get some stuff straight. I'm gonna send you some words. So I wrote down. I'm gonna try to put something together, and I'm gonna send it to you. You just put the melody to it. I said, no problem. Just send it to me. Boom, boom, boom. Right. A month go by. Another month go by. Another month go by.
Wow.
Now it's a couple weeks away.
Oh wow.
You know, now we've been communicating, getting, you know, the airfare, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
The tux, everything I need, the color for we got all that straight, but he never sent me the words. So it's like a week. I hit him up. I'm like, when are you gonna send me the words? Like, I'm a genius. But hey, we pushing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He said, my bad. He said, man, I've been so busy, which I understood. So he was like, look, just write something. You know the circumstance. Yeah. I was in this situation. It didn't work right. Now I feel like I found the right person. That's everything for me. Everything I was missing in that situation, I found it in this situation. So, you know, just try to put something together. Boom. Right. The flight on my way. Now I had got the music maybe 2 days prior. And then I got busy. The night before taking the flight all the way till I touched down, got in the hotel, I'm writing it.
The night before?
Yeah. The night before is when I started writing it, putting the melody and everything together. And then while I'm on the flight, I'm listening to the music, and then I'm writing lyrics. And then I get to the hotel, listening to music. And so now I'm writing lyrics, and while I'm writing it, I'm memorizing it. Right. So we have, I wonder what, so that the next day was the actual wedding. Okay. So we did the wedding rehearsal. Once I arrived later on in the day, and I'm like, okay, cool, boom, boom, just find out, trying to see what the music gonna sound like. Right, go back to the hotel, still, boom, boom. So the day of the wedding, which is the next day,
oh man, yes,
I'm at the point, I got the words written down just in case, in my little, blazer, and then I wrote some things just in case on my hand.
On your hand?
On my hand, just in case, because mind you, I don't want to mess up.
Let's put it together. You want to make sure you
don't want to mess up. Yeah. Man, listen, I got up there and everything went well. Wow. I sung it, they cried, everybody cried, and everybody was asking me like, yo,
that's a blessing.
How can I get a hold of that song? Who wrote that song? You wrote that? I was like, yeah. They said, oh my goodness. So I got so excited from the feedback that I once I got back home,
you recorded it.
Rushed to the studio, recorded it, and I'm like, and then I put like video clips of what I filmed from the wedding. Yes. Put that together, sent it to them. Then I posted it, and then that's when it started going crazy. Wow. And then some people with the radio station or whatever, different radio stations started asking like, yo, how can I get a hold of that? So I was like, all right, boom. Sent it to them. Yeah. Been crazy. It's been blowing up ever since.
Man. Wow. I'm talking about heavy rotation.
It's a beautiful song.
Heavy rotation, man.
I just did, I've been real busy doing big shows because of that song.
That song.
Going out of state for that song.
Yeah.
People were like, yo, how much you charge to come out here to, to Atlanta to sing that song? I was like, word. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you weren't even expecting all
I wasn't, I won't say I wasn't expecting, I was hoping. Anytime you wanted to be
You're an artist, right? Yeah.
So I would say I was expecting, I wasn't necessarily anticipating it. Right. This one too, but yeah, man, it's just.
What do you, so music is an interesting thing, so much that goes into it. And there's a formula, everybody has the formula. Yeah. What do you think was different about what you put into this one versus what you did in the past?
Let me see, I think, all right, so I don't exactly know how they say it with the marketing. But in marketing, if you could create something that people can feel, you'll grab them. Almost like the commercials where they got a dog that's skinny and when you do one of them, you're gonna grab the attention of a lot of people. Yeah. So with this particular song, because the masses, everybody wants love. Yeah. It was at a tempo that people could listen and understand it. Right. The lyrics, were speaking to the masses. I wanted love, real love. You know what I mean?
Same.
I wanted peace.
Yeah.
Not just typical peace, but real peace.
Yeah.
You know, and then I found it in you.
Yeah.
So I think with the music that it wasn't a whole bunch of beat. It was just piano.
Yeah.
You know, it was simple. It was to a pace that people could listen to it, listen to the voice, listen to the melody, and they could grasp.
Yeah.
You know, because it
went straight to the soul.
Straight to the soul. It's a love song, but at the same, it's a wedding song.
Right.
It's a wedding song, but at the same time, it's a love song.
Right.
So everybody's searching for love.
Yeah.
It resonates to men. It resonates with the ladies. Everybody's searching for that.
Yeah.
So however it resonated, I'm grateful for it, because now radio station people, the mass of people are really, really enjoying that song.
Yeah.
So whatever I did, I just wanted to touch the hearts and the ears of the people. That's okay. I got quite a few. I got another song I did called Stranger. I did a show recently, and I've been wrote this song, but I performed it, and man, the response I got from that song, because again, it's the message, and it was different.
Yeah,
you know, so it was the name of. Hopefully, we could share that with the viewers as well.
Yeah,
but Stranger is, have you ever held your partner's hand and had a sense like, hey, something's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
This ain't how it used to be. My. They don't talk the same. They don't even walk the same.
Wow.
They don't even love the same. No more. You know what? There's a stranger in my home. There's been a stranger in my car.
Wow.
Honest, she changed. Honest, she changed. Honest, she changed. You know what I mean? Now see, you know what I mean? Like, and then what captured was so many people could relate.
Wow.
Like, and they was like, wow. Because there's people, you hearing a bunch of different songs, but there's people, I've had people call me after that, and I posted it, called me, hit me up on social media. Like, bro, I was in tears with that song.
Wow.
I was like, what? It's like, yeah, man, because that spoke to me.
Right.
Man. I'm driving, I'm in the car, and me and the lady we don't know what to say.
Right.
We in the house, she on the other end, and I'm sitting here. Yeah. We don't know what to say.
Right.
And it's I feel like a stranger.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when it's that type of music that I speak that I can relate with, and that came about. That particular song came about because I'll never forget it. I'm laying in the bed with the lady at the time.
Okay.
And she rolled over this way. I'm looking this way.
Talk about it.
I'm biting my lip because I want to say something.
You want to say something?
Like, what's going on here?
Right. You feel it though.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cold and the heat was on. You know what I mean? And I'm like, something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
You know, so then in my mind, it's like, there's a stranger. Have you ever held your partner's hand?
Wow.
It had a sense like, hey, something funny.
So
because of my experience and what I went through, I said, I bet you somebody else can relate with this. You know, same thing with Found It in You.
Yeah.
I bet you somebody can relate with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've been searching for so long. They've been looking for peace. They've been looking for joy. They've been looking for a friend.
Yes.
And guess what? I found it in you. Good luck, man. Y'all, I'm gonna run the car and get my tambourine. Y'all don't let me get my tambourine, man.
But so with that, we touched on the point of you getting booed at that pop.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And now you have this huge level of success.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the people around you.
Okay.
Now that you've experienced the success, how much have the people around you changed? Or have they changed?
Oh yeah, they changed. And I wrote a song about that too.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
All right, so I will say, which is still a blessing. Like I said, we can go back to it. Everything negative is really positive undiscovered. So as you progress in life, you start to find out that, you know, more people expect more of you. They figure, hey, you know, I seen you on TV, I see you doing this, that, and this. You know, they look up to you more.
Yeah.
Which comes with a lot of expectation.
Yes.
And I receive it. I welcome it. You know, I can't even say from the success you got to deal with the haters, because you've always had those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always had those. Everything just intensifies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because now you have people, and it's not just being successful, it just intensifies because everybody, you got people around you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working in your purpose, you're gonna have people around you that now this is something I got from TD Jakes, the 3 friends.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your comrade, constituent, and your confidant.
Say it again.
Your comrade, your constituents, and your confidant.
Gotcha.
You're gonna have, they're not your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
These are considered friends or associates.
Yeah.
These are people that are going to be with you
Mm-hmm.
only for what you're able to offer them.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Now, it's not for you to get upset with them.
Right.
It's just for you to understand those people weren't really for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're going to have a lot of those people. You're going to have people because you're successful, you can offer them this, you know, you get the free opportunities to this. Those people are going to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the moment you fall off and it gets hard,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get upset when the people ain't around.
Right.
You know, and I deal with that a lot. I deal with people, when I'm up,
Mm-hmm.
they right there.
They're right there.
But the moment I'm down, ain't nobody, you know, not
Crickets.
a lot of people, they're there to pick you up.
Right.
And that's to be expected. So it's a lot of responsibility when you move on in life, as you grow,
Mm-hmm.
as you achieve your purpose and greatness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of responsibility, because there's times that at the end of the day, it all falls on you.
Right.
You know, you can't expect those people to always be there, because once they lose their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
you know, hey, we're gonna jump on the next ship.
Yeah.
You know, so it's disappointing at times, but the good thing about it is once you're aware
Mm-hmm.
of that, that gives you power.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? That gives you power.
Ooh,
I ain't expecting nothing from y'all, because I understand. I'm the foresight, I'm able to see it. I'm gonna give you another. The mailman.
Mm-hmm.
When he walks past the gate and he sees the dog,
Mm-hmm.
he's afraid of that dog.
Mm-hmm.
The dog gonna bark like crazy,
Right.
because the dog is afraid of him. They don't understand it. They don't know each other.
Mm.
Now, the moment they get acquainted, the mailman can now walk through the gate, pet the dog, put the mail in, dog gonna wait, because now they're familiar with each other.
Familiar.
You know, once you become aware of how situations are,
Mm-hmm.
you don't fear it no more, because now you better understand it.
Right.
So when I'm dealing with people and things, if I create the understanding of you're just there for the moment,
Right.
I ain't tripping.
You already know what you're dealing
I
with.
already know what I'm dealing with.
Right.
So when they leave and jump on another shit, that's cool.
Right.
I already know what I'm dealing with. I ain't disgusted. Same thing with a relationship.
Right.
I ain't disgusted. I ain't busted, because I'm already aware.
Right.
Now, when you're not aware, you're going to continue to fear.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to tend to be like, I wonder how that's going to be. And then when they leave, you were in shock, you know,
Right.
But a lot of things I tried to groom myself prior
Right.
to know that only a few going to be rocking with me.
Right.
Only a few going to be able to rock with me. And those that are rocking with me are going to be the ones that's going to be blessed. When I'm blessed, they're going to be blessed.
They're
Now,
gonna be blessed.
I'm still going to bless those that are there. But even when they fall off, you just know.
Well, I always tell people treat you according to how they feel about themselves.
Okay.
So a lot of times when people, they may take things wrong, or you don't like me, or you treat me this way.
Yeah.
It's really, they're wearing their emotions on their sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
So you pray for people like that.
That's right.
But when you think about the transition and knowing what I know about you, you give a lot back to the community.
Yeah.
Especially our elderly.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I want to know, what keeps you so connected to the community? Because that's a group that's sometimes forgotten about.
Yeah.
But you haven't done that. You've gone back and given to elderly.
Yeah.
What drives you to continue to do that and stay connected?
Well, going back to family, you know, the morals and ethics, you know, you respect your elders, you know, they've given the wisdom. They paved the way for us to be where we are. So I just love people. You know, God has blessed me to be a blessing to others. That's my prayer every night. Lord, bless me so I can continue to be a blessing to others. Wow. You know, my purpose in life is to inspire others. Yeah. So with the elderly, my mother started a home care business.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Keep it 100, yeah.
I won't finna wipe nobody's tail. I told my mom, I don't know about that. Because my sister and I, you know, shout out to my sister, we grew up where my mother would go on the weekends, and while my sister and I would either watch TV as kids or we were outside playing with the neighborhood kids, she would go to different elders' houses and bathe and shave and fix food for them while his family or her family, the eldest family, went out shopping or whatever. So I grew up on that.
Yeah.
And as I got older, you know, I was working like three jobs, and it was wearing me out. So I kept praying. I said, Lord, you know, I'm gonna do this music thing.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing a voice that said, I blessed your mother to be a blessing to you. And I thought the music was too loud, but I was like, am I hearing something? So I kept praying, and then I kept periodically hearing, I blessed your mother to be a blessing. And for a long time, maybe like a little over a year, I didn't understand it. So finally, after being so tired of working overtime and working all these jobs, I kept praying, and I kept hearing, I blessed your mother to be a blessing to you. Finally, it dawned on me. Because again, I won't fit in the wipe nobody's tail. I didn't see that.
Right. You didn't see that part, right?
But I looked at how God was blessing my mother, working with the elders, and I finally humbled myself. And I went to my mother and said, "Look, what do I have to do so I can help you, and I could, you know, stop doing what I'm doing?"
Right.
With you know, I think I was working UPS, a couple other jobs. So she looked at me. She said, "Well, let me know when you're serious."
Right.
So okay, so I kept going to work, right?
Yeah.
But I kept praying, and I kept hearing that verse. So finally, I went to my mother and I said, "Okay, I'm serious. I'm ready to I'm ready to wipe some tail.
Yeah.
I'm ready to wipe some tail.
Yeah,
I'm ready to
pause.
Be that right. I'm ready to be that caregiver,
right?
And help." So after watching her for so long, it came to that point where we already had one home. We needed to get another home, but one caregiver could only have one home with 3 elders in it.
Okay.
And we wanted to get another one, so that was my chance.
Yeah.
And my mother said, "Okay, if you serious, we'll put this home in your name, and you get 3, you know, elders and provide care."
Wow.
And bro, ever since then, my heart, I've learned how to appreciate even more so the elders. I don't even call them necessarily the elders, nor with the ones I have, I call them uncles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I don't look at it as just wiping tail no more, you know what I mean? Or having to bathe them. Now I look at it like providing care. Whatever they need, I feed them. So I still do that now. You know, so that's a side business. So I've been doing that for 20 some years.
Wow.
20 some years. And that's been a blessing. So that's a part of where that great appreciation for the elders come from. The love of my grandparents and elders. But
that's awesome.
I know that was a long story, but
you're good. So we're gonna segue to the next question. The music industry has changed so much over the past decades, and I think the 757 in this area of Virginia kind of gets put on the back burner. However, though, we have some legitimate superstars. I mean, we go from Timberland, Missy Elliott, Pharrell, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Eclipse.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on and on. And me and my brother, we were talking earlier, Moses, and we were talking about how, you know, you have a level of stars, then you have a level of superstars. You know, when we talk about somebody like Missy Elliott, who came out with the bubble, you know, the outfit, and you know, when you talk about you know, someone like Timberland, of his producing ability, produce so many just hit record, and they have their own sound. They are on a level of superstar status. Do you think that this area can make it happen again? And can it be you?
Definitely. All things are possible. I think the one thing that's missing in this area is the unity.
Talk about
it. It's just, you know, I know y'all have heard the phrase, the crab in the bucket.
You know, down there, I don't see nobody doing better than you.
You know, and it's sad, but that's the only thing missing, because we not only with the music, but we got some of the best in the world that have come from Virginia in sports. You know, your Michael Vick, you know, Belichick, Iverson. I mean, it's a slew. His cousin.
That's right.
A lot of people, Lonzo Mourning. You know, there's so many. Teddy Rat, well, of course, New York, but still, you know, he bred, you know, in this area. And then still, even today, there's a lot of artists that come through this area. It's definitely, it could be done. We just have to create that unity. You know, at one time, and I salute, you know, Teddy Riley, because he was in position where he was putting on talent shows and put on a lot of people. You know, he was the one bringing the Janet Jackson, the Michael Jackson, the Justin Timberlake, and mind you, we have to salute him. He was the one that gave the Missy, the Pharrell, the Timberland the opportunities. You know, and created a sound from here, the New Jack City sound.
We talked about that with our previous guests.
Yes, it could be done. We just have to somehow unify. You know, the people got to get together, and I believe it has to have a conversation. I don't think we could really rely on or depend on Pharrell to have that conversation, Missy to have that conversation, Timberland, because their conversation is on totally other,
whole different level.
Totally different level. You know, that's somewhat minor to them. Like the things that, and salute to Pharrell, that he's done for this area. That's where he's at. But trying to unify, that's his way of unifying or showing his input. But for the artists in the area, there should be a conversation, a forum, and then people just got to get off their horse. You know, there's a lot of people that think that, like I said, they want the steak, they want the corn, they want everything else, and think that they've already arrived without putting in the work.
Got to put in the work.
You know, humble. You know, you got to stay humble, have the conversations, and hopefully it can get done. Somebody could do it. I'm open to it. I'm interested. I try to do as much as I can by staying connected with a lot of the artists. But you know, we'll see. Hopefully, sooner than later.
What I love about you is, you know, when you think about your Pharrells, your Teddy Rileys, and they expanded outside of the box. You know, especially with, you know, Pharrell with the Versace or the fashion and everything like that.
Louis Vuitton.
You, Romonta.
I'm about to say, you got Versace too?
I'm sorry, Louis Vuitton. But you, and I want you to talk briefly about this. You got your own fragrance.
Oh yeah.
You got your own fragrance. You got your own clothing.
What is that like?
You know?
We're into that.
You
got the ladies and the fragrance.
You know what I mean? Look, y'all do
the fragrance get the ladies.
Let me see. All right, so being an artist, you can't just be an artist. You know, you have to understand the business. So again, as I mentioned earlier, as a pupil sitting back, I'm a watcher, I'm a listener. When I tell people all the time, when I'm watching a movie or watching an award show or watching a music video, I'm not just being amused by the cars, you know, and the women or whatever. I'm watching everything. How they shooting the video, the environment, the fashion. You know, I'm looking at all of that. So I think that with the branding, my energy drink, I'm like,
talk about it.
Yeah. So all right. So let's get into with the fragrance.
Okay.
I'm watching, the Kardashians, and I watched how it was one of the sisters. I forgot which one. They got a call. This was on their show, and one of the some fragrance people called and said, "Hey, look, we want to do a deal. We want you to come by, the office and check out these fragrances because we want to see if you can endorse it so we could work something out with you." And she was like, "Sure." So, they showed that process.
Yes.
And I said, if they could do that on a multi-million-dollar level, I could start it off on a $1,000 level.
Right.
So I knew someone that was a lab tech, and they worked with fragrances. So I was like, let me call them up. Now, it took me a little while, because I was busy, but finally, after, I'm hugging people and they like, "Oh, you smell good."
Right, yeah.
Guess what? I had on Cool Water.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I'm smelling like Cool Water. What if I created my own?
Your own.
So that inspired me. So I called my homeboy. He let me check out a couple fragrances, and I wanted something fresh. I wanted something that could, stay on you for, and really. Yeah, so we created one. Yeah. So at first it was unisex, and then some of the lady supporters was like, "Well, we like this, but do something more flowery or fruity for the female." And I was like, good idea. So that's where, with the fragrance, the scent of passion, his and hers. And, you can't just take it from me, but it's dope. It stays on you. It works with your body chemistry, and it's been doing very, very, very well. So that's the fragrance. So with the energy drink, I wanted to jump into a liquor. I wanted to, like Diddy and a lot of the other artists. Right. A lot of other artists was jumping into that, and I knew people that had their own drink.
Right.
So I tried to work some deals out with them.
Right.
The actual liquor did not work. Some didn't flow. But then I had a connection with the energy drink, and because I'm performing at a lot of venues, a lot of different, I was like, oh, let's go with the energy drink. It was something simple, and it's called the Taste of Smooth Energy, signature. So that's doing well, and then I got my shoe, Kanye West had his slipper. Right. That man making a lot of money off of that.
Yeah, he's making some money.
So same thought. If he can make $1 million and almost $1 billion off of that deal, I said, well, look, let me start off with a couple $100 down.
Yeah, right.
So I invested in it, and then I got my own slipper called the...
Shout it out.
Yeah. Got my own shoe called the Row 7s.
Okay.
Called the Row 7s. I got 4 different colors. But that's doing well. And then what else?
Got the clothing line.
Genius clothing. I got Genius clothing. Just everything. I wanted something that represents me, and at the same time, it represents multitudes of people that look like me, that feel like me, that's in the same mindset as me. We all are geniuses, and I want clothing that while people are walking around, it represents them. So it's called influential knowledge. I appreciate that.
That's amazing to be able to run those brands, be true to who you are, and really show your roots and really support the community. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love it.
So we're gonna segue into because our time is a little bit limited now. Okay. We're gonna segue into. We always like to play a little game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, before we end. So we want to do the greatest of all time.
Okay.
Right? So we're gonna do the greatest of all time. So we're gonna do. Who's the greatest of all time? Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac, or Nas?
Woo. Biggie.
Oh, Biggie. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
To me.
This is you.
To me, Biggie to me is the greatest because his style changed the culture.
Wow.
His style alone changed the culture.
His style.
All of them have different styles, but Jay-Z's dope. All of them are dope. Tupac is dope.
Yeah.
But Biggie style, it was smooth. You know what I mean? It made people want to throw on some nice gear. You know what I mean? You riding in the whip, you smooth.
Right.
You know what I mean? The ladies loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the fellas respected it. You know, that's something to where late at night you could play something, you know, one more chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then he went. His lyrics went there.
Yeah.
You know, Jay-Z dope, Tupac dope. I love both of them.
Yeah.
But to me, Biggie.
Biggie made it comfortable to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
You know, the fat, ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly as ever.
However,
To the socks,
you know what I mean?
Come on. I mean, he made it okay to be comfortable in your own skin. You know, that was important.
All right, so next one. Greatest R&B artist of all time, Anita Baker, Patti LaBelle, or Aretha Franklin?
Aretha Franklin.
Wow. Why?
Why her?
Well, you said Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, who?
Anita Baker.
Or Anita Baker.
Okay, we definitely gonna take Anita Baker out of that one. She's good. Now I'm conflicting against Patti LaBelle and Aretha Franklin.
I was saying, Patti, she take them shoes off.
now Aretha Franklin, she's the GOAT. Both of them the GOAT. But Aretha Franklin, if you look at her upcoming, when she sung, oh man, she was mesmerizing.
Yes.
Like her voice took you to church. She like the queen of that, queen of soul, as they call her.
Yes.
However, Patti LaBelle, she put on a show.
She did.
Yeah.
I remember with the hair, the nails, and she get a so all right, I'm going with Patti LaBelle now.
Patti LaBelle?
Yeah, I'm going with Patti LaBelle.
Okay.
We're gonna touch on, since you have a gospel background.
Yeah.
We're gonna touch on the greatest artist of all time, gospel.
Okay.
Yolanda Adams,
Okay.
BB and CeCe Winans, Fred Hammond, or the legendary Shirley Caesar.
Shirley Caesar.
Oh, okay. Easy.
That was easy.
She the queen. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of those artists looked up to to Shirley.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, Shirley was that she's still going strong. Like she's one of the ones to where I heard her perform the other night. She ain't missed a beat.
She ain't missed a beat.
She ain't missed a beat. She still got it. And I was really impressed. So yeah, definitely Shirley Caesar.
That's dope.
Oh yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, my mama love her.
Dope. Well, lastly, we want to get to the concept of why we do this. The show's called 80 or 80,000. And Moses, go on with the question.
So what we like to do, we're all about growth, development, what your purpose is. Are you living for 80 years, Romonta? Meaning that are you just living for the moment? Or your decisions based upon how you want to live for 80,000 plus years? Or eternity. So we believe directly what you do on this earth impacts how you live for eternity. So is that what you're focused on, legacy and building that?
Yeah.
Or are you just living for the moment?
Yeah. Keyword legacy. The work that it's going to sound a little. The work that I put in every day, currently, presently. I'm living day by day. Decisions that I make, I feel today is going to determine and dictate my future.
There you go.
So legacy now, I don't know what another 5, 10, 80 years is going to be like. But I feel like as long as I live my best every day, that's going to determine my future. That's going to determine my legacy. I don't have any children, but what I do, I want people to today be inspired by that, so that can influence them to carry it on.
There you go.
You know, I can't control another 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and I'm pretty sure I I may be forgotten. I may be forgotten, but I'm hoping that the things and choices that I make today at some point will carry on. And that's history. You know, there's history where a lot of major people have done things that we don't talk about every day.
Right.
That still to this day, it's new history. It's new. Like, wow, I didn't know somebody did that. I didn't know so and so invented that.
Right.
So they was just living. But I'm hoping same thing, that maybe when we're gone, that in another 80 years, somebody can say there was this song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was I remember this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so like today, if I continue to be a blessing and influence to young people, when they get 80 or 70, they're gonna be like, I remember this guy gave me a chance named Romonta. Called me on his stage and allowed me to sing. Yeah. So if they blow up as well, they can be like, oh, I remember Romonta gave me a chance.
Right.
If I can set that, my job is done.
Well, let me share this really quick. During COVID, you know, with my line of work, I do a lot of bodyguard work and security work for celebrities and high-profile people. And so during COVID shut all that down. We shut down.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you that you'll never be forgotten, brother, because he took me on as a roadie.
Yeah.
He took me on as a roadie, and he said, Steph, just pack up the stuff, drive me where we need to go, and we're going to perform a birthday song, and we're going to do whatever we got to do during this season. And I'm going to give you what I can, and we're going to make it through this COVID.
Yeah.
So you will never be forgotten.
I appreciate that.
You will never be forgotten. So answer this question. 80,000 years from now,
Okay.
finish this sentence. Romonta was
A blessing to many.
There you go.
Yeah. A blessing, and again, that goes back to my prayer, Lord, bless me so I can continue to be a blessing. As long as I could just be a blessing to people, that is my purpose. You know, the music is just a vessel towards being able to inspire people. You know, through the music, conversation. Yeah. You know, those are just blessings and tools to be able to accomplish those things. But that is my purpose. If I'm not able to smile and encourage somebody, then I'm gonna suffocate. Yeah. You know, and until that day, I'm living every day. Cause he could tell you, hey, I'm always smiling.
Yes.
I'm always smiling. Even through tough times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
especially through tough times.
Yeah, especially especially through tough times. And I'll say this real quick. I remember this guy named Mr. Frank. I used to work with him way back, and one day he fell off the forklift, and everyone's like, "Oh, you okay, Mr. Frank?" He brushed himself off. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay, y'all. I'm okay. And we was worried. He fell off the forklift. So he went to the bathroom to brush himself off. I run in the bathroom. I said, Mr. Frank, why are you laughing? He said, when you can still smile in the midst of hard times, that's God. And when he said that stuck with me. Yeah. You know, because there's times I didn't know. I'm grinning. I'm thinking, I'm like, why am I grinning all the time? Right. But that's the God in me. Yeah. You know, because regardless of what I'm going through, you know, God is shining through me, so I can still be strong enough to inspire. So when somebody else going through something, I could put whatever I'm going through aside, so I could be there for them. And that's just the gift. That's what, you know, that's my purpose. So I'm grateful for that. That's all I know. You know, That's all I know. It just helping people.
I love it, man.
You know, man, I just love helping people, man.
I love you, man.
Yo, and I, man, listen, that's what it's about. That's what life is about.
Part of the show, brother. We appreciate you, man.
So before we go, we understand that there are a lot of families, a lot of people going through so much in Los Angeles, California, and the surrounding areas. We want to say that we're praying for you guys. Our thoughts are with you guys. And like Romonta said, let God be with you during these difficult times, and you're going to get through it. Trust me, you're going to get through it. Romonta, sing us out, brother.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what song.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Whatever your heart's feeling right now.
Uplift California right now.
Here's one. Everything happens for a reason, though we may not understand. No, it's in God's plans. Everything happens for a reason, and though it's in God's plans. You know.
You just tune in to 80,000. I'm Stefano Lewis.
And I'm Moses Newsom. Thank you for having us. Good night.
Yeah.